So in addition to everything that was just talked about, everything that also happened in the first week of 2013, the bright, shiny new year that I'm still not entirely used to writing on checks yet, because I still think it's 2012 for some reason. Can't imagine why. The big news that everyone seems to be focusing on, which is relatively worth noting on, is the Oscars! Yes, in case you've forgotten, the Oscars still exist. Still going for a good, what are we on, like the 85th? Yeah, 85 times we've done, well, this will be the 85th year. And boy, oh boy, Seth MacFarlane's hosting this year, but I can forgive that as much as the next person, which is relatively not very much. But that's not the point. The point here is that, in addition to the fact that the Oscars apparently still exist and is becoming less and less cared about, is the fact that they have the animated feature nominations, which were announced just a few days ago, and now we know what of the like there were 12 or 15 films that were listed. Now we got narrowed down to 5. And none of these should surprise any of you. These were the most obvious choices on the entire list. So, yeah, okay, so what were they? What 5 films are up for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film? We got Pixar's Brave, Disney/Tim Burton's Frankenweenie, we've got Studio Laika's Paranorman, we got Aardman's The Pirate Band of Misfits, or if you don't live in America, The Adventures with Pirates. Or, I'm sorry, The Adventures with Scientists. Pirate, scientists, why do you sound so similar? And finally, Disney's Wreck-It Ralph. Again, no surprises there at all, because those were like the 5 most, I don't want to say financially successful films. I mean, I do think they were the top grossing films, but they were also the most well-known, the most marketed, the heaviest lobbyist, and produced by the most well-known studios in the theatrical animation industry as it is. I mean, except for maybe the DreamWorks films, Rise of the Guardians, which didn't even get a mention, or is not in the list there, these were pretty much the ones that you expected were going to get the award anyway. It's kind of disappointing because last year, for the 2011 awards, there were a couple of surprises. I mean, particularly some foreign awards, like The Cat in Paris was one that I was rooting for, I was cheering for it. Of course, it didn't win because the only foreign films to ever win are either Ghibli films or Aardman films. Rarely is ever one that doesn't have like name recognition to it. But as for this year, these 5 are obviously are the easiest to award because they have the name recognition and everyone knows what they are anyway, so you might as well put them on the award list. Which one's gonna win? Well, I can take a guess, really. I mean, okay, actually it's more of a hope, but of those 5, I'm really hoping for Paranorman. Like, of the 5 that are listed there, Paranorman is the one that kind of balances both the really wonderfully animated film with not quite anything you've ever seen before in a film. Like, you've seen this sort of, not quite a mockery of horror films, but very self-aware horror film that can be legitimately scary sometimes. And given the Laika's ability to animate so wonderfully in the stop-motion medium, this is something that really needs a lot more recognition. I mean, more than anything else on the list there. I mean, I could just run down. Okay, Wreck-It Ralph. The awards do not like video games, so that's been scratched off. I mean, it's a fine film on its own. It's just not gonna win an Academy Award. It may win the People's Choice Awards, but no Academy Awards. No, I'm sorry. Video games just never win. I'm sorry, Resident Evil 29, you're just never gonna win. The Pirates Band of Misfits, well, Aardman has won an Academy Award before with Wallace and Gromit, but this one wasn't quite up to that level there. It was not Aardman's best film. It's kind of amazing how they were able to animate it, because the fact that there's a lot of water movements, and as we know, it's kind of hard to animate water in stop motion, but they pulled it off anyway. Either way, it's just not enough to really push it into the Oscar-winning category there. I would be fine if it did win, I just can't picture it taking the grand trophy at the end there. And Frankenweenie is kind of interesting because Tim Burton has a tendency to bait the Oscars with his style. Like, it's the kind of cinematic, gothic, very unique style that's really easy to give awards to because it looks so cinematic, it looks so grand, it looks so, we must present this with a special award. And let us not forget, Corpse Bride almost won a couple years ago, although it did lose to Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. As it stands, though, Frankenweenie, that's not Tim Burton-y enough. I hate to say it. Well, actually, I don't hate to say it at all, but it's not Tim Burton-y enough. It's actually a little too safe for its own good. It's actually, of the 5 on this list, this is probably the weaker one, is Frankenweenie. It's not terribly inoffensive, because that's probably the worst thing I could say about a film, is that it's inoffensive, but it's not enough risks as it is. It's a well-known story. The boy misses his dog, and then he brings it back to life, and then we get this weird plot where, okay, then all of a sudden everyone's trying to get their animals back to life there. So, I was actually a little surprised that this one actually even got on the top 5 list there. I assumed that the Disney name just lobbied for it properly, and was like, okay, we must give this an award. And it's in black and white, so it's classy, and... okay, no, it's not really, but it's... that's not gonna win. It's just not really something that could win. I just don't. It's not Tim Burton-y enough as it is. Perfectly fine as a Halloween film, I'm sure, but again, the weakest of everything on this list. So, as it stands, up between Brave and Paranorman for which one could actually win. And given the fact that Brave just won the Golden Globes, like, just yesterday, I'm not entirely convinced that Brave's lack of a proper conclusion, not that I'm judging it, because that would be inappropriate of me. I'm not sure that that's enough to keep the Academy from giving Pixar the award anyway, because Pixar is just really easy to give an award to. They have the track record, they have the appeal to go ahead and tell the Oscars that you need to give our film the Academy Award because we are Pixar and we are the gods when it comes to 2000s era animated feature films. Wah-ha-ha-ha. Actually, that's more diabolical than possible, but still, when it comes to the two of them, despite the fact that Paranorman is the better film, Brave might just swing the vote that way, but I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping the Academy Award's better common sense, and the fact that they were smart enough to give Rango the award last year will convince them to give it to Paranorman this year, because Studio Laika deserves a frickin' Oscar at this point. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Coraline was up against both The Secret of Kells and Up back in 2009, I would have really hoped for Coraline to have won the award that year. Like, we need more awards, apparently. Actually, we do. If you're sick and tired of the Academy Awards, because like I said, no one really cares about the Academy Awards this year. Like, it does not dictate what they will go see, almost. Then you should definitely follow the Annie Awards when it comes to animation. Yeah, Hollywood has its own animation awards every year. Every February they have the Annie Awards, and I haven't looked at the full list for what's up for consideration for that yet, but this is definitely not something to pass up just because the Golden Globes or the Academy says you should watch something. No. Follow the Annie Awards when it comes to animation awards for every year, because that's a much better place to get your animation news. Much more so than the Academy Awards, which is a fancy ceremony, and your average movie watcher will follow it. I mean, that's kind of the reason that once Slumdog Millionaire won back in 2008, that all of a sudden everyone flocked to the theaters to go see it, and it was like, we must give our money to this movie because it won the Academy Award, and now we're, yeah. Also, I'm not really rooting for Brave to win because they had a really great first half, and then they fired the director, they fired Brenda Chapman, and then they replaced her with, like, Mark Andrews, and then it had a really mediocre second half, and it could have been so much better. Brave, you could have been great, you could have been so much better, and now you're just okay, and you're not good enough, you're not Pixar level, you're not up here, you're down to here. It's kind of like how, the Ghibli Award, or the Ghibli Studio film that was up for nominations this year was The Secret World of Arrietty, and that was not up to Ghibli's highest standards, it was down to here. A very pretty film, but not Ghibli levels. It was not Laputa, or Princess Mononoke, or even Ponyo levels of good. It was just down to here, so like, I'm actually not that up in arms about the fact that Arrietty wasn't even on the short list this year. I mean, it was on the long list, just on the short list, but that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, if you're following the Academy Awards and you want to know what to expect, I'm gonna say that it's gonna be it's either Brave or Paranorman, because the other three are just not Oscar-y enough as it is, just not enough to win. And if I'm wrong, which I'm never wrong, I'm always right. Have I ever been wrong? Ever? Don't answer that. But either way, if there is the two to shoot for, I would say it's Brave and Paranorman. And if I'm wrong, then, I don't know, I will jump off a cliff into a mountain of fire with scorpions and something grand and dramatic. Like, if I was going to end my life, I would want to do it in a grand and over-the-top way, but I don't think I will have to, because I'm willing to bet, it's a pretty safe bet about which ones are the most worthy of the award, or which ones are most likely to win, as it is. Please vote for Paranorman! For the love of all is good, the Academies, please put Paranorman and give them the award. Laika deserves it. They need an award, or they've gotten plenty of awards, but they deserve this. The average movie public needs to know that Laika is an awesome studio, especially someone that's doing stop motion in the 2010s. Give them the award. So there's your Academy Award listings there, and yeah, so keep an eye on that. It's still continuing, the Academy Award, so I guess it's worth following as it is, but we all know that Paranorman is the best film. We all know that. You know, and you especially know. Yeah, you know. You there, sitting in your chair, watching a YouTube video, you know all that. So that's Oscars are coming up, so follow that next month, and until then, we will continue to bring you the latest news here every week of the year. We'll follow with cartoon news, following all the animation news, and if you have anything that you want to know about the world of animation, just remember, take care. Okay, enough self-plugging there, so take care and have yourself a wonderful day.